let's continue our breakdown of OU's spring roster, and we're talking tight ends, Ted. And as I was looking at the roster for this, I started getting nervous. And I don't like that because this is probably the position group I'm most concerned about on the entire team. And it has nothing to do with coaching. I think Joe John Finley is a rock star. I've seen that man in action. The dude, he's one hell of a coach. But you just look at the numbers right now, and you've got Austin Stogner and then a bunch of guys that haven't played a meaningful offensive snap at Oklahoma. That's where the position's at right now, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. We are incredibly thin. You've got Stogner, and right now, that's really all you've got because of injury right now. So it's difficult for the offense to work their full range of personnel groupings. I will say that, going out to practice and watching, I thought Stogner actually looks really good right now. What exactly does that mean as far as production coming up this season? I'm not sure, but one of the things that we always talked about early on whenever he got here was getting bigger and stronger, and then he had the injury, lost a ton of weight, wasn't able to do the strength and conditioning stuff like you had hoped, and just really struggled. Well, time has passed, and the dude is fully back and healthy because he's gigantic.
He is a very big body. Now, I think his experience, his maturity bring a lot to the tight end room, especially with the departure of Braden Willis and just had the leadership role he had on the team in 2022. However, I'm fired up. Stogner's back, but I just don't think it's realistic to expect him to have some huge production jump. I hope I'm wrong, but when you look at his most productive year of his career was 2020, he had 422 yards receiving. That's his most productive year as a college football player. He's not a fast guy, right? He does not have great speed. You either have to scheme him open and we've seen him do it. Like he's got to go over the top of guys, high point the ball, and win in competitive catch situations. He's not a guy that's going to, be a super crisp route runner and run away from guys. That's just not him. So then I start looking at the roster. I was like, hey, do we have one of those kind of X factor weapons at tight end? And I don't know, Kaden Helms, I haven't seen him. He's hurt again. I haven't seen him. I don't know. He looks good in a jersey standing there on the sideline out of practice. He makes 6'5", 231 look good, but I just don't really know where the production from the tight end position is going to come from.
Yeah.
Which is concerning.
Yeah. I'm there with you. I actually feel like Stogner has the chance to become a pretty good weapon for him if they go that route, which, you've got to make a real effort to get the tight ends involved in the passing game with what you're going to do. I don't know if they feel like that's going to be a real strength for him or not, but I think he's a good enough mismatch. And if you do scheme it right, I think there should be some really good opportunities. But I think the best way to look at it is I feel like you're going to be able to directly tie Stogner's production to the running game. If our running game is clicking along, is excellent, and we're able to chew up yards, running some inside stuff, and the interior of our offensive line is more physical than a year ago, I think that will directly help Austin Stogner have production. Will it unfold that way? I don't know, but someone is going to have to start developing really quickly other than Stogner. And the problem is they're missing all the development time right now.
Yeah, that's the issue. You got Kaden Helms missing the entire spring and Jason Llewellyn missing the entire spring. Looking at Helms, like I mentioned, dude looks good in a jersey. I mean, he looks like a jumbo wide receiver to me, but he's got some thickness in his lower half. I just don't know what he is. I don't know what he can be, and neither does the staff, because you just haven't went that's spring is the time when guys like Kaden Helms and Jason Llewellyn can prove to the coaches, like, hey, you can trust me. I'm ready for this. Right? You can put me on the field. I can be the guy in 12 personnel, or hell, Levy loves 11. You can trust me to be the one tight end out on the field. Llewellyn and Helms just aren't getting that opportunity to prove that they can do that right now, because they're over on the side working with Schmitty.
Yep.
And they are missing. They're missing really valuable reps, and not only for their skill development, right? To learn, spring is a time where you learn, what works for you, what you can do, what you can't do, your limitations, your strengths, your weaknesses as a player. They're missing all of that. And I think maybe more than anything, they're missing the opportunity to prove to Levy, like, hey, I'm ready. You can trust me. Let's do this. And
yep.
I just don't know what that means for the program going into the fall from an offensive personnel standpoint.
It's not good. There's plenty of time for those guys to heal up, get ready. Which do we expect both those guys to be back for the summer, to have a full summer?
All remember when BV gave his injury update, all he said was Helms knee and Llewellyn foot. So I would assume both of those guys are going to be ready to go in June.
Yeah.
If they're not, man, and you fall even further behind.
That's when things get interesting, is if you have guys that are working through injuries and then are able to have a full summer to get right, get back in shape, try and take whatever lagging issues that you have from that with compensation or whatever, and get your body back close to normal as possible before you start training camp, then I don't feel that worried about it. If that's delayed and those guys don't have a full summer, then I start to get concerned, because it's not easy to walk back from an injury and go directly into training camp and expect to stay healthy. You've got to really, really be in shape, and stacking a full good summer before training camp is what those guys need. Like, just to get healthy and be ready, but like, they need it for development too. We still, like we were just talking about, need to get bigger, faster, stronger. And it seems to me like we have a full training room of guys that are banged up, not lifting, not running, not practicing. That is not good for a football team.
Definitely not. And you look at the tight end position, Llewellyn's one of those guys, kind of more of an old school tight end, right? Do a little bit of everything in line type of guy. Kind of looks like what you think a tight end would look like. I do like the energy he brings. He's kind of a rah-rah guy, and you need some of those guys. Mm-hmm. But he's got to prove that he's ready. And that's hard to do with no spring practice. And I will say, listed at 264, young fella, let's be careful. 264 is getting up there, man. Let 264 is a cheeseburger from 270 now. So let's be careful. Let's be careful.
He's knocking on the door of adding some depth to the offensive line.
He's knocking on the door that I walked through, my friend. All of a sudden they approach you. Hey, you know what?
He moves really well.
We think you could play. We think you could play center in the NFL. What do you think about that? Oh, Coach, I trust you. Yeah, you don't want to have that conversation, Llewellyn. Don't do it. Don't do it. I'm just saying. Do you know who number 80 is?
Yes.
We saw about at practice. Josh Fanuel? I don't know. Played Division II basketball last year. And he's out there as your 12 personnel tight end, and then he got banged up. Like, it's just the tight end room is.
There's no one. There's no one there. It's Stogner
just
at this
Stogner.
point. Yeah, well, Stogner looked really good when I was out there, so that made me feel good. But yeah, depth is really bad right now. They've got a real issue there, and I don't know if it's something that they're going to try and hit in the transfer portal post spring, which I'm guessing they probably will. But you know, we know at this point, picked over, say whatever you want about the transfer portal, it would be a shock if you were to find a quality, like, too deep type of tight end in the transfer portal post spring. Maybe it happens. Maybe someone's unhappy with the way the offense is moving, the direction they're going, and decide to jump in the portal. But, they'll be looking for guys that are essentially just adding depth.
They need McIntyre to get here, man.
No kidding.
We don't even know if he's going to be on offense.
Well, that decision may have already been made for him just because of numbers.
That's true. And I don't know, the Blake Smith kid that transferred in, I haven't even seen him. I don't know.
I haven't either. Yeah, that's seems to be a mystery right now. The good thing is that McIntyre, we know, is doing curls somewhere right now, getting ready. He's probably added 10 pounds of muscle since we last saw him.
Him and his dad are just lifting.
Supersetting squats and curls right now somewhere.
There's no doubt. All right, let's get to call your shot. We asked you guys how you feel about OU's tight end situation right now. This first one, which, gosh, this made me laugh, comes from @OkieMeatGuy, who says, I hear the tight end room put in a booty call. Let's see how that plays out as far as depth and production for that group. OU football. I blame you. Went to the Kenny Chesney concert on Saturday night, Ted, which was April 1st, April Fool's Day.
Right.
OU makes a joke on their official Twitter account. Get it? General Booty, tight end. Get it? He's not moving to tight end, people. I got asked 15 times about that at the Kenny Chesney concert. People stopped me and were like, dude, you think Booty can be a good tight end? I was like, what? He's not moving to tight end. They were like, no, they tweet. I was like, dude, it's an April Fool's joke. So many people thought that was real.
I thought it was real.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Ted, Ted.
You know why I thought it was real? Because I know that we have one tight end on the roster right now in spring football. Right? That's why I thought it was real. I was like, well, they had to move someone there to at least get some reps.
They have employed the services of number 98 in some of the 12 personnel stuff. I believe he's a D lineman. Not the fleetest of foot guy, but yeah, no, it's General Booty is not going to be a tight end. Still playing quarterback. No offense to General, don't think he would thrive at the tight end position. Not a big bodied guy. Don't think that would go particularly well for him. But